Rejected. Oh my goodness, look at this. Here we go. Bam. I was rejected. But it actually does kind of make sense because I'm going to go through my resume in this video and I think it will become obvious. Like, okay, yeah, makes sense. I don't think I have a very good resume, so I'm going to try to improve it and figure out what I can do to make it better. So here's what I have, right? My education, and then I go into work experience. So one of the things that I'm trying to figure out how to do is because my job is not software engineering, even though so the title is associate software development engineer. That's not true. So that is my legitimate title, but that title does not accurately reflect the tasks that I do. The actual title that I think accurately describes my work is embedded systems engineer. So, in these bullet points, like how do I hit those keywords for software engineering, because I don't do them? My job is to write values to registers in electrical components to get them to work at a specific functionality, right? I want fans to spin at a certain RPM. So, okay, well, what value do I need to write to that register? Then testing it, okay, going in either in an oscilloscope or with a laser, trying to test like how fast is it actually spinning, and then that's kind of what my job is. Nothing to do with software engineering at all. The actual line of code is like one line and you write three values in that one line, but figuring out which values to actually write, that's the part where you need to go look at the data sheets, try to figure out how everything is working. Okay, so let's read through this and try to figure out what I can say. Should I? Okay, so here are some of the job descriptions that I've looked at different companies, right? And so I'm going to try to match my resume up with what I'm seeing here. So all of the keywords. So I do see, which company is this for? This is Meta. So this is embedded software engineer. So I'm not really targeting, if I want to do embedded software engineer, I will have to create two separate resumes. So right now I'm not going to be looking at the embedded part. I'm going to see the jobs. This is also embedded. Google embedded. Amazon hardware, no. Okay, software engineer. Okay, here we go. So what are they asking for? Java, C++, okay. I don't know what Scalia is. Experience with big data. Okay. Okay, this does seem to be more like, this is iOS, software engineering backend. Here we go. This seems a little bit more reasonable. Java, Python, SQL. Okay. So I can work with those. Now, I do actually have Python in my job. So I've done a project in Python. So maybe I should put that towards the top. All right, customer-facing product development. Okay, so that was another thing that I'm thinking. I need to showcase that I actually deployed this product, right? So I've deployed multiple products. I need to hit those points hard. Okay. Familiarity with database or data governance. Not, I don't have it. Okay, passion for learn. Okay. So, cross-functional team. I definitely have a ton of this because I work in the hardware department and I'm the bridge between the software department, the hardware department, and I need to work very closely with all sorts of different departments. Okay. Software engineering. Okay, so Node.js, again, that can be in my projects. And okay, look, like I need to revamp my projects as well. So I think I'm going to get rid of this operating systems because no one cares about operating systems. It doesn't matter. Um, I was told that this one might be okay because it has like Docker, Python, networking, security, ARP attacks, ARP flooding, SSH keys, and virtual machines. And so I th- I was told that this one might be okay. We'll think about that. Okay, so but right now we're still collecting like what do we think we need to do. So Node.js, okay, I'll have to hit that. Java, yep. JavaScript, React. I haven't touched React. Strong collaborative within a cross-functional. So I'm seeing a lot of like cross-functional team. Okay, design product management. Okay, so I've done design a lot at my company. Product management. I feel like I've also, yeah, I've definitely done that. Like I'm the owner of the product. So I think that counts. Or I think that's what's meant by this. Deliver features requiring close coordination with several sister teams such as data sharing. Okay, so collaboration between teams. Okay, yeah. 2+ years hands-on software development experience, including significant experience in back-end or full-stack software development. Okay. Deep understanding of modern web. Hmm. So API design patterns, that can be my project. Security, okay, that that kind of does go to this. So all right, fine. That makes sense. Why to keep it. Knowledge of data development tools, data infrastructure, or machine learning is a plus. So I have this one, like a neural network image classifier. Well, I'm gonna have to look into this to see if it's something I want to keep or not. Okay, so what am I looking for here? ML systems, okay. Well, this one does say operating system. Like, I'm trying to figure out, I was told like this one is worthless to take it out, but at least this one does have OS internals. Okay, GPU, Kubernetes, PyTorch. I have PyTorch. Reinforcement learning. Mm, Java, C++, C Sharp, okay. Object-oriented programming. Node.js, Express, okay. JavaScript, TypeScript, okay. SQL and relational database schema. Validated understanding of database technologies such as SQL and relational database schema design. experienced in automated testing, including unit and functional testing using Java. Okay, so Java, JUnit, JS Unit, Selenium. Okay, so I have my project that does like Java, and I believe it was JUnit that I was using to do the testing. So, okay. Excellent interpersonal skills. Microservices. I haven't touched anything with microservices. 10 days in office. Like, I know people say that they love working from home, but I, I don't know. I like being in the office. I don't know. It's almost everyone says that they enjoy working from home, but I think working from the office is a lot better. So when I see like 10 days per quarter, it's like that's that's so little. Anyways, let's keep looking at what I found here, and then we'll go to the actual resume to try to figure out how we can connect the two. Okay, so scalable APIs and workflows. Okay, so design, build, trust and identity system, debug. Okay. Java, JavaScript, Go, PHP, Python, Kotlin, C Sharp, or Ruby. Okay. Bachelor's, yeah. 1+ year of shipping products. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, so let's try to figure out how we can get this. So this is for my current position, which is here. Okay. So sole developer in the hardware department, responsible for all software and firmware development. Led the planning, design, and execution of projects end to end as the department's only software specialist. So, what I'm trying to do with my first point is just give kind of like a overview of what I'm doing. And then the second one I'm thinking should be more like, then the rest should be technical with the actual bullet points. So, currently leading firmware development for a telemetry system using an Atmega 128 controller and Raspberry Pi. Developed embedded C code for I2C sensor data collection and Python based REST API for downstream software integration. Serving as communication bridge between hardware and software teams to align cross-functional requirements. Okay. Led firmware adaptation for next generation. So this project I am still currently in the process of doing. So that's why it's like currently leading. Okay. And why do I say leading? Because as I mentioned in my first point, I am the only firmware software engineer in the hardware department. And so this is kind of like my domain and my project. So, led firmware adaptation for next generation product released by updating legacy code to support new hardware components and features. Worked cross-functionally with electrical engineers to interpret schematics and ensure seamless integration between software and hardware. So, as you see in this one, there's no keywords here. Nothing to do with software. Okay. So I'm going to try to add a new item, and we'll see if I can kind of say this sentence differently. So, I want to hit the point that in this next generation product, okay? So we developed a new product. This product was shipped. It is being shipped to customers, right? That was one of those points that was said that we need to, or that was desirable. Okay, so maybe I can say something like worked cross-functionally with electrical engineers to interpret schematics. And develop project requirements and develop project requirements project requirements. I'm not sure. I'm always really bad at like expressing in language what is actually going on. So how do I say this in a good way? Worked cross-functionally. So I guess go back to what I'm trying to say. This one or this one? Okay. I am attempting to describe a project that I was working on that I used, that I adapted embedded C to go into our company's new product line. This code was and currently is being shipped and used by customers. I did the testing, maintaining, long-term maintenance, maintenance. Okay. Project planning. Um, okay. First, explain back to me about this project. Then give me bullet points. All right, so I'm going to try to have it explain it back to me, and I can try to figure out what I like, the way that it says. I'm not sure. So taking existing embedded C code that was written for a previous product line, adapting and enhancing the code to work with newly designed hardware for the company's upcoming product. That's correct. Collaborating closely with electrical engineers to understand schematic designs and ensure the software correctly reflects the hardware capabilities. Okay, that's correct as well. Developing firmware that is now deployed in products being shipped to customers, meaning your code is directly powering live devices in the field. This is also correct. Owning the testing and validation process to ensure reliability across different hardware configurations. Yeah. Continuing to maintain and improve the firmware over time as the product evolves and new requirements emerge. That's correct as well. Okay. So, okay, so these are kind of our options, right? So lead firmware adaptation. Okay. For the company's next generation hardware platform, modifying the existing legacy embedded C code to support new components and functionality. Is there a way to put those points to one? I don't know. I have no idea how to put this one. I don't know. Interpreted data sheets with electrical documentation to implement I2C communication with onboard components. See, like, this is the majority of what I do, but it has nothing to do with, like, anything that they care about. So I'm actually just going to take that off. Okay. Collaborated with the product department or production department. Should be like that, right? To define the test criteria for identifying non-conforming hardware boards during manufacturing. Designed and developed a user-friendly GUI. So they didn't. Susie was telling me like GUI. She doesn't like that. That's a hardware word. Don't use GUI. UI is the software word. I'm like, okay. So a user-friendly user interface that guides operators through a step-by-step diagnostic process tailored to each boards platform. Okay. So this one is now I'm realizing how bad my resume is. So this one here, or how bad the points are, right? Like this one right here is, do you remember when I said, oh, I have used Python in one of my projects? Actually, two of my projects, but okay. Um, this is the product or project that I used 100% Python, but Python doesn't even appear here. Okay. So I'm trying to articulate for the video first, like some of the conflicting things that I'm having right now, because my job, I will be given a very vague request. It will be something like, oh, production is experiencing large amounts of failures on these boards. Can you design a test and write the software to guide them through this test such that they can diagnose the boards? Okay, so that's the high level request that I'm given. Now it's up to me to go and figure out what's going on. Go talk to production, see what failures they're experiencing, see how they need to, or like what my test might need to encompass. Then I need to go and and create like project requirements. And then I need to go and collaborate with the production and say like, hey, is this something reasonable? Like, is this a test that you're even willing to do, right? Like, I don't want to develop this thing and then find out that they hate it, or they don't think it's worthwhile or something like this. So that is something I am like, that's the majority of my job, is more of the, so how do like, I said that the majority of my job is embedded systems, but that's not even quite true either, because I would say that the majority of my job is collaborating with other departments, trying to nail down project requirements, trying to do project management almost. Then, out of my technical job, right? So the majority is more of that project management. The then second one is in the technical, like developer, right? Like once I create the project requirements, once I get all of the stakeholders to actually agree on them, once I figure out all of that, okay, then go and try to develop it. Okay. So I would say in the technical, the development stage, the majority is embedded and just trying to talk to electrical components, etc. Then other projects like this one was in Python. So that's this bullet point is much more about the collaboration and getting stakeholders to agree and designing and all of that, not the Python implementation, because the actual development that I do is not a lot. I The amount of code that I actually look at is very little. It's mostly about it's either looking at data sheets. That's the big one, is looking at data sheets, trying to figure out what settings I should put in the electrical components such that they work correctly. That's more of the technical, but then the other part is trying to figure out what I even need to do in the first place, right? Then third and least of all is okay, well then just write the software, right? That's the third and least, it's the smallest portion of my job, but now I'm trying to make that smallest portion like, oh, that's all of what I did. But actually, I don't feel like a developer. I feel like a project lead, product owner. So I didn't even put Python in here, and that's what I'm realizing is, man, I designed to designed and developed a user-friendly GUI developed using Python, a user-friendly user interface that guided operators. Okay, maybe that is okay. All right, so this one trained and supported two interns on test software usage, acted as their main technical resource and mentor during the onboarding and project work. So this one is, I was in charge of two interns. So it was, I became an engineer, and then 2 months after, I was given two interns. And those two interns did this test. So this might show leadership, but it also might just not even be cared about. Applied agile practices to track project progress, including daily stand-ups, sprint planning, burn down, charting, and Jira-based task management. This one, I was watching videos online, and they were saying that a lot of keywords are like agile and sprint planning, etc. So that's why I put this one here. And then this one here, identified need for new product or new production product, pitched idea to management, got idea approved, wrote technical specifications for project, successfully implemented project, deployed into production, and found use cases outside of production. Okay, so this one, obviously the language isn't very good, but it's commented out, and the reason is because, well, I did identify a need. I did pitch it to management. It did get approved, but then very quickly it was just overwhelmed by other projects. And so they told me to stop working on that. And there's that. So I'm hoping to be able to work on this project a little bit more in the future. But right now I can't. So that's why I didn't put it there, because I haven't finished it. So now this is during my internship. So I first became an intern at that company, same company. Then, after I became an intern, they converted me to full time. Okay, so assumed ownership of previously unmaintained embedded C code. Okay, good. Running in a shippable product. Okay, reverse engineered and documented the software's functionality, creating detailed flowcharts and feature level explanations to make the internal logic accessible to the hardware team and future developers. Utilize pre-existing C drivers to establish communication between external devices such as battery, LEDs, DACs, and microcontrollers. Okay, so built Python GUI capable of user communication with microcontroller to allow for simple user interaction during quality testing of device. So this one is actually the beginning of this one. So during my internship, there was no. So the day that I converted between intern and full time engineer, that there was no difference. It was um, I woke up and I during my internship, I the last day of my internship, I did whatever that day's work. I woke up the next day, came into the office, and continued what I did from yesterday. And it was just a very serene feeling. It was like, oh, wait, technically an engineer now. Like there was no difference. It was just a continuation. So that one is the project that was led through on my through my internship. Okay, so this one, okay, Biotronic. I worked at Biotronic from 2013 all the way to 2020. I put it down to one. I used to have a lot of bullet points. I shrunk them down to one. I've been told so many times to delete this completely. I feel really depressed to delete it. I don't want to delete it. The reason is because this is like 7 years of my life that I worked at this company doing like it's essentially just saying like, oh yeah, those 7 years that you spent, and I put so much energy into this job, and it's just like, no, it was worthless. There was no point. You wasted your time. Those 7 years of your life, gone. Dang, that sucks. I really don't want to do it. I hate that so much. Okay, whatever. I guess I'm gonna look at projects here. So I have my capstone project here, and then I have the Node.js there. And we said that we're getting rid of this operating systems. So let's just go down and. Is there a way to do like mass commenting? Is there a way to do multi-line in overleaf? Control and then backslash. Okay. Here we go. command backslash. There we go. All right, so yeah, I was told operating systems that it doesn't matter. Multi-threading, locks, assembly, none of doesn't matter. So okay, fine, we'll get rid of it. This one might be okay. This one maybe I need to delete some things. So develop Python program which takes in vector of images with each pixel represented from 0 to 255 on the grayscale. Image contains hand-drawn numbers. Okay. Calculating the loss function, implemented gradient descent to adjust parameters, performed all operations within Python environment utilizing NumPy. Okay. So I'm going to try to combine these two. Okay. Calculated the loss using mean squared error and implemented gradient descent to iteratively minimize it by adjusting model parameters over successive training data passes. Okay, let's calculated the loss using mean squared errors and implemented gradient descent to iteratively minimize it by adjusting fine, okay, whatever. Performed all operations within Python environment utilizing NumPy matrix operations to ensure minimal usage of required for loops. That doesn't quite make sense. I know what I'm trying to say because in NumPy you try to do matrix multiplication because you don't want to use for loops, like for and then, right, like iterative loops. So you do the matrix multiplication, so like that, right? To avoid doing those for loops, but this point doesn't quite come out. I'm thinking to possibly combine these together. So like say that I did like within Python environment calculated the loss using mean squared errors and using NumPy matrix operations. Okay. Get rid of you. I'm also thinking, so I've heard two things about these technical skills. Some people say that the technical skills is good to have here. Other people say you need your technical skills to be in the actual bullet points. And also because I know that I'm trying to shrink my resume, make it into kind of like a one-page thing, I might need to take away these bullet point or these technical skills. Okay. All right. So this is one project that I want to showcase. The other project is actually the Java project, and I need to expand those out. Although, as of right now, I both my Java and my JavaScript projects are just playgrounds. I'm just trying to learn. They're not supposed to even be useful or impressive. It's just to give me a chance to play around with those topics. So developed within this is the my capstone project. Okay, so developed within Python and Arduino environment, software to measure 3D positional estimates from IMU data sensors. Okay. So wrote C++, which is another one, software inside of Arduino environment to collect gyroscope data and transmit, maybe I can say collect and transmit gyroscope data to okay, via socket communication to Python script in Python script applied NumPy matrix operations to execute rotation matrix. So I wrote both. I wrote the C++, that was in Arduino, and that sent data through sockets over to my Python script that I wrote, okay? And then in my Python script, I processed that gyroscope and I believe I used all three though, right? Yeah, the IMU has gyroscope. What was the other one? It was accelerometer and then magnetometer, right? It has all three together, and I sent all three of that data over. Um, Within Python created secondary verification. Secondary verification of accuracy using quaternion. So I remember that I needed to use quaternions because as your okay, so here's your plane, right? So XYZ, okay? So as you if you turn it one way and then turn it another and then go like this, the your frame of reference, your XYZ here is actually going to be different than the true, like the stable XYZ axis. And so you need to use quaternions to kind of translate, okay, so I'm experiencing a acceleration in this one's whatever, X is experiencing, I don't know, zero point 0.3 meters per second. Y is experiencing zero point 0.1 meters per second. Z is experiencing uh, 0.8 meters per second. So it's experiencing some acceleration in its three components. Well, how does that map to the real XYZ components? Well, that's why you need the quaternion to do that translation. So created Python functions to visualize orientation. Okay. So applied low pass. 3D printing doesn't really matter. I don't care. Okay, so soft skills. I think I have enough of the soft skill, like project management, multitask. That's gone. Like I don't need that anymore because I have enough of that in my work experience, right? I added those soft skills from before I got my internship, before even here, right, at company A, my current company. So it's like I don't need that part anymore. I don't need the soft skills because now I have actual work experience and I don't need to explicitly say that in my resume on a project because I have corporate experience now. Okay. Arduino, socket programming, GUI development. And this one is like the biggest right here. This is the biggest project. And I feel like it's good. I feel like this is actually a good project. I do need to, reading over these points, I do need to change the language, but I feel like it would be a very good project if I was going for embedded engineer. But I'm not. I'm going for backend. So, get rid of that one. Wrote C++ software inside of condense these two, or these points into two bullets. Okay. Developed and integrated Python and Arduino based system to estimate 3D orientation from IMU sensor data, implementing C++ socket communication for gyroscope readings, and applying matrix transformations and quaternion mathematics in Python for accurate frame relative rotation analysis. Okay, I like that. Yeah. Developed a Python visualization and GUI tool. GUI do UI tool using tkinter to display device orientation in real time and applied low pass filtering to mitigate accelerometer noise and validate computational models. Okay. Let's paste that in there. Okay. Okay, let's recompile, see how that looks. Okay, so it's much smaller. I'm trying to figure out if I should create a bullet point at the very beginning to kind of say what the general idea of this was. Okay. So create a Python visualization and GUI tool using tkinter. I might not even care about this low pass filter thing. Real time. And yeah, I don't care about low pass filter anymore. So it's just there, okay? And I'm just gonna delete that. That doesn't matter. So C++ is right there. Python is right there. NumPy I don't have up here. Arduino is right there. Socket programming. Socket communication. GUI was there. tkinter is where? tkinter. Okay, SolidWorks, and we don't care. So I might take out this technical skills because I have all of those in those points. Okay. So now neural network classifier. So Python, I have Python. Statistics, gradient descent was in here somewhere, right? Has to be. Gradient descent, backpropagation. Uh, no, but okay, whatever. It's fine. Okay. This one here, Docker, Python, Python, escapee. I don't, so this is a little while ago. I don't necessarily remember escape. ARP poisoning. I'm just gonna go like this for right now. I need to, because I don't have all of these. So I'm gonna just say, didn't put all of these yet. So I need to do that. And this one, soft skills, who cares? Okay. All of those should be up there. And this one is, okay, so let's recompile it and see what we get. Okay, it's still not one page. I might be able to squish the spacing down, but we'll get that later. So this is the project that I need to care about the most. And I need this project to be, I'm considering taking Node.js server, okay, and then creating the Java project, and putting both of those at the very top. So essentially I would have this. Okay. So this one is going to be Java project. Okay. And then what did I do here? Something. Another thing. Okay, and then get rid of these. So now this should be at least the format that I want, right? Uh, Is it that it doesn't like that space or what? Okay. So there we go. I need to maybe slightly make these spaces less, possibly continue to take out things from here, and then add stuff here, simplify here, and then maybe take out skills. So that's kind of the overview of how I'm gonna try to change my resume. This is, I feel like the resume part is a living document where you have to constantly just like make it better over time, and eventually it will continue to improve. So this is just the very beginning. Obviously, I didn't even have anything for like this Java project, but yeah. So we will continue to make it better and better and hopefully eventually get something. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I will see you in the next video.